I have wanted to do a video on Pristine Realms for like a couple of days now, and I know I'm like a week behind on the news about Pristine Realms, but I couldn't put my thoughts into... I don't know, I couldn't put my thoughts into motion or something. It's been a little bit of a weird thing, because Pristine Realms are a lot to think about. But I think that Blizzard is entirely misguided when it comes to Pristine Realms. And that's what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about Pristine Realms. I don't know if I made that clear there. I only said Pristine Realms like 19 times there, but Pristine Realms, let's talk about what they mean and what they should be and all of that. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, and I would be kind of surprised because this happened like a week ago, I'm like way behind on this. Blizzard answered the question about legacy servers and Nostalrius by wrapping a gigantic no in 6 paragraphs as they are wont to do. But they dropped 2 interesting pieces of information in these 6 paragraphs. First off, they're actually talking to the people from Nostalrius, like in person and setting up meetings. That's really cool and interesting. I really want to see where that goes. But the second off, they said something about a type of realm they had been talking about for a long time, apparently, and they've opened the discussion to the community. They call it the Pristine Realm, and it's kind of an interesting idea. So what's a Pristine Realm? A Pristine Realm is a server in World of Warcraft with cross-realm features disabled, all matchmaking systems, so LFG and LFR, disabled, and all experience bonuses like Refer a Friend and Level Up tokens and heirlooms all disabled. Essentially, their idea is they want to try and recapture the legacy feel for Vanilla and Burning Crusade by disabling all of these things. And let me just say right now, if you're attempting to recapture the feeling of Vanilla World of Warcraft by disabling leveling features and matchmaking, you are woefully misguided, because it will not work. Vanilla World of Warcraft is not slow leveling and a lack of queues. Vanilla Warcraft was something entirely different. Legacy and Burning Crusade, and even a little bit into Wrath of the Lich King, had this perfect balance of what I consider the 3 big pillars of MMORPGs. And I speak to this not just as somebody who's nostalgic, because I absolutely am nostalgic for the old days, you all know this is like a seriously salty veteran hardcore bullshit, but also as somebody who's currently playing Vanilla Warcraft on an unofficial server that I am not going to name. I am experiencing it now the same way I did almost 10 years ago, which has kind of opened my eyes to some interesting things that Vanilla did that really changes the dynamic of the game. And it's a very interesting experience for me because I'm kind of going back and comparing it to the way things are now, and it's essentially a different game. The idea that they want to recapture Vanilla by disabling speedy leveling and disabling queues, it'll never work. There's no way. The game is fundamentally different at a very basic level. You've got all of these things and all of this stuff that feels like it was created as a world first and game second. You experienced the world not simply because you were leveling through it from quest hub to quest hub, but because it felt organically real. It felt like a place that could exist, and therefore you wanted to be a part of that place. Yeah, it involved slow leveling, and it involved grinding and looking for groups and forming communities, but you can't recapture that by simply disabling those new features that have changed World of Warcraft. Now, with all of that said, you should set up Pristine servers. You should absolutely do that. But not because you want to capture some nostalgic audience, because I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. People will come and they will play them, but they won't play them because they're coming back for the legacy nostalgia. They will play them because a pristine server version of World of Warcraft is, in mine, and I think a lot of people's opinion, a potentially superior version of the game.
What the fuck? What are you even talking about?
Let me explain myself here. So in my opinion, and I've said this in earlier videos a couple of times, World of Warcraft has essentially lost 2 of the 3 core big pillars that make an MMO awesome: the community and long-term content progression. So the community was destroyed by matchmaking and cross-realm server systems, which slowly eroded it away until there was nothing left, compounded by things like the garrison and the lack of capital cities in the last expansion. And then you have this idea of long-form content, which has been eroded away by things like LFG and LFR, which over time have made content consumption a lot faster. It's just basic common sense that if you have more avenues to acquire gear faster, you're going to consume content on all levels of the game faster, which gives it a shorter lifespan, which leads you to spending 14 months in a content tier that you cleared in 1 month. So the community in World of Warcraft is kind of entirely neglected by everything these days. Essentially, you don't really need to engage with it if you don't want to. There are queues for basically everything if you want to get into it. And some of these queues are okay. I'm actually generally okay with looking for dungeon, and I'm okay with looking for battlegrounds. But looking for raid has done an incredible amount of damage to not only community, but long-term raid content, but more on that in a second. Essentially, when you don't have to interact with other human beings, you tend to not enter into communities. And when you're not entering into communities, they have trouble forming. And then you've got, an MMO that lacks a multiplayer component, which is actually a lot more toxic than it sounds. A lot of games are built on their communities. In fact, original World of Warcraft was heavily built on community and working together towards common goals. That's kind of what made it have so much staying power with people. They were happy to be part of this community. They were heroes in their community. In fact, there's this really amazing post on the World of Warcraft forums right now called We Are No Longer Heroes, which talks about how the old world community dynamic felt. And I think they put it in a really beautiful and eloquent way. I'm not going to read it out here, but I recommend going and check it out. It's a beautiful post. The removal of these matchmaking services as well as cross-realm is going to go miles to reestablishing that community dynamic that's really been lacking from World of Warcraft over the last 3 or 4 years. People are going to want to form guilds because they're going to want to have people available and around to do difficult content like dungeons with. People will want to go out and work together towards common goals. You'll see the resurrection of server-wide communities where people are well known for things, where there's certain names, where there's certain groups and guilds that are kind of a big deal and you know about them and the stories are told and the camaraderie is there. And all of that, in my opinion, is on its own probably a good reason to do pristine servers as a thing. Seriously, the second M is the most important one. So the second big pillar that this system addresses is the idea of long-term content. So right now with LFG and LFR, you can just queue into a group and complete a raid and gear rather quickly. This is kind of a dangerous thing because it shortens content lifespans. And short content lifespans are kind of a serious complaint in the World of Warcraft right now, because you have these long periods between patches. In the cases of Hellfire Citadel, you've got 14 months. But you've got content in that patch cycle that in no way can fill 14 months. So you need to have kind of a more long-term outlook on how long content should last, and how long you're going to need to make new content and things like that. Fortunately, the removal of LFR and LFG and other matchmaking services will make this content consumption substantially slower, which means that content will last longer, and at the end of the day, be more valuable both to the player, who will enjoy it more, generally because a lot of people, especially the kind of people who would wind up on pristine servers like myself, feel more accomplished when they spend time working towards something. And secondly, it's going to help the developers because, it gives them more time to release content and it makes that content last longer and then people stay around for longer. Helps with retention and stuff like that. But those are the big things. Like, having that content last longer is kind of a big deal. At the end of the day, pristine servers probably won't bring back everybody who's super duper nostalgic about early World of Warcraft, because that really by design isn't what they can do. It's not within their capabilities, because those people want early World of Warcraft. I know, I'm kind of one of them. But at the end of the day, what pristine servers could do is present us with a better version of the current World of Warcraft. A version in which things that slowly eroded away the things we love about the game, like community and long-term content, would be removed and could be, conceived to have never happened, which might make the game better in the long run. On an MMO champion poll, about 50% of people, I think it was just under 50% of people, said that they would totally play on a pristine server. At the current time, about 95,000, that's not a terribly bad number. That could fill a good 5 or 6 servers or so. I don't know how many people sit on a server. I hear it's a couple thousand in general. But the point is, pristine servers offer a potentially superior version of World of Warcraft, at least in my opinion. And having them active alongside regular servers could present a way for people who might have fallen out of the game because they don't like the ideas of LFR or LFG, or they think it's too easy, or the content burns too fast, or their communities are dead, a chance to really reintegrate into World of Warcraft and see it for what it is as a modern game. It's not going to recapture that nostalgia for the old days, and I don't think anything outside of doing a legacy server or progression server is going to do that. And I still think that that's something that should happen. And I still think it's something that if Blizzard wanted it bad enough, they could easily do. But Pristine servers are a step in the right direction. They're a compromise between these two ideas that could make modern WoW substantially better. And I think that they should try it. At very least, they should throw it out there. Because I would certainly play on it. I'm sure there's plenty of people here who would totally play on it. But yes, do it. Make a Pristine Realm. Oh, hey everybody, thank you very much for listening to me yammer on about World of Warcraft for like 10 minutes. I wanted to talk about Pristine servers, but I could never really formulate my thoughts for them, as I mentioned at the start of the video, and it kind of took me a little while to get things rolling. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please like and subscribe. It's a big deal for the channel. It makes me feel great. It makes the community grow, and we're trying to do this big growth over the next couple of months to try and really take off the Orange Hatter community, and I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of cool stuff in relation to that, but that's all coming up soon. But thank you again for watching. This video is brought to you by all the amazing people who hang out in the Orange Hatter Discord. You are all a great community, and it is open to everybody. For more information, you should check out the channel description. We only have one rule: don't be a dick. But until next time, you continue to have a great one, and thank you again. Bye.